In this video, I will give you a complete walkthrough of the OpenAI Playground, and we will see each and everything which is available on the OpenAI Playground. So first of all, let's see what are the different topics which we are going to cover in this particular video. So at the very first, we will discuss what is this OpenAI Playground. Then because it is not free to use the OpenAI Playground and we need to buy the credits first and then we can use the OpenAI Playground. So I will show you how we can check the usage and how we can check what is the current credit limit. So I will show you that thing. After that, let's suppose we want to integrate different GPT models with our application. Then we will have to use the API keys, and through this OpenAI Playground we can create that API key and that we can use to integrate the application with the any model. So I will quickly show you from where we can generate this API key, and the integration part we will see in some other video of this generative AI course itself. So I will create a separate video where we will create the project and we will use that key and integrate any GPT model. So I will cover all of these things. So stay tuned for those. And then we will see what is this assistant, user and system which are present on the OpenAI Playground dashboard. So we will see each and everything with some demo. And the most important thing which is present on the OpenAI Playground are these configuration parameters. So let me show you the list of this parameter. So we will discuss these many parameters which are available on the OpenAI Playground dashboard one by one, and we will see the demo and some examples as well. What is the maximum length, then what is the presence penalty, then we will see what is the frequency penalty, and what is the temperature, where should we use this, what should be the value of temperature in what scenarios. Then at last we will see what is this top P parameter. So please be with me till the end of this video to understand all these things in detail. So let's start with understanding what is OpenAI Playground. So as you might be already aware that OpenAI has provided couple of models like GPT 3.5, GPT 4, etc. So to interact with these models, they have also exposed APIs, and consuming those APIs we can submit any request and we can get the response in return. So that is the one way to interact with those models. But there is another way as well, which is this OpenAI Playground dashboard. So this is the another way to interact with these models itself, and we can submit the request and get the response. So now to access this particular playground, you will have to go to this particular URL, which is this platform.openai.com/playground, and it will ask you to log in, and the same login credentials would work which you have used to log in into the ChatGPT. So after login, let me show you how this dashboard looks like. So after successful login, you will land on this type of playground here where this playground is written. Let me briefly give you the walkthrough of this. Then later we will see each and everything in detail. So you would see here this chat option. So if I click on this, you would see these three options. In this particular video, we will majorly focus on this chat option. The one is the complete, which is a legacy option, and this assistance is in the beta phase. So we will majorly focus on chat. So I will keep this chat itself. Then you would see here the save option. So let's suppose you have done some work here and you want to keep this save so that later on you can access and you can resume from the same where you have left. So you can save from here, and the saved work you would find in this preset. So that is the one use of this preset, and from here you can access some examples which is provided by this OpenAI itself. So that is preset and save. Then you would see here the model option. So if I click over here, so you would see these models are present through which we can interact using this dashboard. So if I click on the show more models, so you would see a couple of more models are also there. But for this video, I will keep this GPT 3.5 Turbo itself, and we will interact with this GPT 3.5 Turbo to understand the working of this playground. Then you would see different configuration parameters which we will discuss each and everything in detail one by one. Now to use this particular playground, you will have to buy credits. It is not free to use because it is a prepaid basis. So whenever you will submit any request on this playground, then on the basis of token length in the input or the output response, the credits will be utilized. So what are these tokens and how the utilization is based on tokens? So we will see in detail in some other video, but for now you can just understand that if the input or the output text length is more, then you will be charged more, and if this length is less, then you will be charged less. Now let me show you how you can check the current usage of your account and what is the credit limit which you have recharged for. For that, you will have to go to this left panel, and here you would see this usage option. So you will have to click on this. So this type of UI will come up, and here you would see this monthly spend and day by day spend also you can see from here. Then here you would see the model wise spend, and on the right side you would see the current usage and the current limit. So here you would see I have $10 total limit, and in this $10 the $5 are already expired, and remaining $5 I have utilized for $0.1 already, and I am left with this $4.9 now. So that's how you can check what is the current usage and how much you are left with in terms of the credit limits. Now if you want to integrate the GPT model into your application, then you would require a API key, and that API key you can create from this dashboard itself. So here you would see this API keys option. So if I go to this particular option, so from here you can create the secret key, and that you can use into your application to integrate with any GPT model. So for this video, I will not go into the creation part and the integration part, but in the upcoming video, I will surely discuss this thing, and we will create the entire project. There, I will show you how we can create this secret key and how we can use this and integrate this in any application or any software. Now let me explain you what are these assistant, user and system which is present on the OpenAI Playground dashboard. So let me show you once on the dashboard, then we will see what are the purpose of these three things, and we will then see the demo for all those things. So on dashboard, if you see here, the system is there, then this user is there, and if I click on this user, then assistant is there. So what are these things? Let's understand these one by one, and then we will see the demo of these. So what is user? So whatever request or query we want to submit to the model, that we will put into this user prompt. So let me show you the demo as well. So I have prepared couple of prompts here. So I will use those prompts to explain the use case for each. So like we discussed, that whenever we have some query or some request which we want to submit to the model, then we use this user prompt. So let me copy this, and I will go to the playground now, and here it is written enter a user message here. So I will click over here and I will paste here. So this is my query for which I want to get the answer from the GPT model. The model which is selected here, which is GPT 3.5 Turbo. So after pasting this, I will say submit. So the assistant, the GPT model assistant will give me the answer for this particular query. So it is saying the capital of India is New Delhi. So this is the response of this particular query. So this is the use of user, and you have also seen the one use case for this assistant as well. So let's talk about the assistant ones. So what is assistant? So there are two use cases for assistant. So first one is the response will be provided by model will be in this assistant prompt. So the demo of this we have already seen, that we have asked the query and the response is provided by the model, and that is present inside the assistant. The second use case is, let's suppose if we want to give some example to our model. So there also this assistant will come into picture. So let me show you the demo for that also. So I will copy the prompt from here. So let's suppose we want to get the list of all the prime ministers of India. So I will copy this prompt, and I will again go to the playground, and here I will clear this once. Now in this, as user, I want to ask the model that I need a list of all the prime ministers of India. So let's say if I say submit, then how the response would be. Let's see that once. So this is how it is giving the response. So this sequencing it has given me like 1, 2, 3. Let's suppose I do not want the sequencing in this 1, 2, 3 format. Rather, I want this into the A, B, C, D in this format. So using this assistant option, I can give one example to this where I will write something like this. So let me copy this first one, and I will clear this up first, and I am giving one example in this assistant one. So I will write it here, and I will say A, and let's suppose I want to get the output in this format A, B, C, D like this. So I have given one example, Let's now hit submit and let's see how the model will give us the response now. So as you can see, this time it has given the sequence in the form of A, B, C, D, E, F, G instead of 1, 2, 3, 4. So you got the idea how I have used the assistant here. So here I have given the example in which format I want the response, and the model has given the response in the same format. So let me show you one more example of this. So let me copy the another prompt. So let's suppose I want to get the capital of different countries. So let's ask the capital of India first. So I will go again to the playground and I will clear this up first, and I will add the message as the user here, and I will hit submit now. So the response it is giving me like the capital of India is New Delhi. But let's say I do not want the response in this format. I want the response in this particular format, which is this capital of India, then colon, then space, and whatever the capital is of that country. So I want the response in this particular format. So I can give this particular example in the assistant part. So I will copy this and I will paste it here as assistant. Now I will give one more example here. So let's say I will give this particular sentence also in the user part. So I will write here and I will give this also in the assistant part. So I will add message and this is the assistant. So these two examples I have given to the model. Now let's ask for the third one. So I will say add message, and now if I submit, then it should give the response in this particular format for which I have given the examples. So I will hit submit now. As you can see, the format of the response is changed now. It has given me the response in the same format which I have given in the examples. So that's where we can use this assistant. I hope you would have understood how this user and assistant is playing role in this OpenAI playground. Let's now see the use of this system part as well. So what is the use of this system? So we use this system if we want to give any instruction to the model, or let's say if there is any prerequisite data which is required for our use case. So it will be more clear once I give some example. So let me go to the playground and here I will clear this up once. Okay, now let me copy this particular prompt and I want to give a role to the system that you are a Python professional, and now I will ask something related to Python. So that is our use case. So I will copy this particular prompt as well. Now I will say, so provide me 10 interview questions to ask a beginner or Python developer. So I have given the instruction here to the system, and now I am asking something which is related to this given instruction. So let me now submit this query. So now it has given me some 10 interview questions. What is Python and why is it a popular language for beginners? Explain the difference between Python 2 and Python 3. What are the basic data types in Python, and so on. So these are quite good questions for a beginner to ask. Okay, so let me show you another example. So let's suppose we have a restaurant and we have one menu. So this is an interesting example. So listen this carefully. So I will say, you are a chatbot assistant in a restaurant. Okay, and let me copy this entire thing once, and here I am saying, here is the restaurant menu with prices. So I have given 20 items here with their prices, and at last I am saying, if the inquired dish is not present in the menu, then reply with the following: sorry, currently we do not serve this item. Okay, so we have given the prerequisite data as well as the instruction what it has to do if certain situation comes up. So let me copy the prompt for the user. So let me first ask for this particular dish which is already present in this menu. So this is the dish which is already present. So if I say chole bhature and if I say submit, so it will give me chole bhature is priced at 150 rupees. Okay, that's expected. Now let's ask in some other way. So any customer can ask in this way as well. What is the price for malai kofta? So let's hit submit, because this particular dish is also present here, which is this malai kofta. So the price for malai kofta is 180 rupees. So this is also expected. Now let's see the third one. So this dish is not present in this menu. So what is the price for kadai paneer? So the kadai paneer is not present here. So it should give the response like, sorry, currently we do not serve this item. So let me hit the submit. Great. So it has given us, sorry, currently we do not serve this item. So as per the instruction, it has given us the response. So this is the use of this system part here. I hope you clearly understood the use case of this system, user and assistant here. Still, if you have any doubt, let me know in the comments. I will try to clarify there, or I will make a separate video for that. Let's now understand all the configuration parameters which OpenAI provides us on the Playground dashboard. So first one is the maximum length. So through this, we can configure the length of the response which we want. So we can specify the number of tokens for our response using this maximum length parameter. So a token is approximately of 4 characters you can consider, or we can say the 100 tokens are approximate to 60 to 80 words. So let me give one example using the demo how we can set the maximum length and how it behaves while giving the response. So I will go again to the Playground. Let me copy the prompt. So let's say this is my prompt and let me paste it over here in the user. Now the maximum length I have configured is 258 for now. Let's see what would be the response. So it is saying the capital of India is New Delhi. So there are a couple of tokens in the response, but let's say if I reconfigure this to, let's say 2. Okay, let me clear this response once. Now in the response it will give only 2 tokens at a time. So if I submit now, so as you can see it has given only the capital. So only 2 tokens it has given. Now if we want to get the next tokens, then I will have to submit again. So as you can see the capital of India, again it has given 2 tokens in the response. So that's how it works. So whatever value we configure here, it will give the response according to the configured value. The length of the response will be according to the configured value here. Now let's talk about the next parameter. So the other 4 configuration parameters, they will be used to determine the next token while generating the response. So we can also say that through these parameters we can control the next token. So let's suppose, for example, this is our input prompt and these are the 4 probable tokens I have listed down with different probabilities to become the next token. So let's now discuss the parameters. So first one is the presence penalty. So using this particular parameter, we can penalize the token if that is already present in our text. And the value of this parameter we can configure from 0 to 2. Let me show you in the Playground also. So here you would see the presence penalty currently is set 0 and it can go up to 2. Okay. So let me explain the example now. So let's suppose we have configured this value as 0.1. Now because the rises token has 42% probability to become the next token, which means it has the probability of 0.42, and the is the another token which has 23% probability. And let's say the rises token has occurred only once in our text which has been generated so far. So the revised probability will be 0.42 minus 0.1 and the revised probability will become 0.32 for this rises token because we have configured the parameter value as 0.1. Okay. Now let's see one another use case. So if let's suppose this rises token has occurred twice this time. Now this time the revised probability will become 0.42 minus 0.1 and again it will be 0.32. So we can see that the reduction is 0.1 in both of the cases. So we can say that it is not dependent on the frequency of the token. In the use case 1 it was present only once and in use case 2 it is present twice. Okay. So in both of the cases the final probability is reduced to 0.32 and it is not dependent on the frequency of the token. Now let's talk about frequency penalty. Then it will be more clear what is the difference between presence penalty and the frequency penalty. So using this particular parameter, we can penalize the tokens based on their frequency. In the presence penalty, we were penalizing the token based on the occurrence, whether it is present or not in the so far text. But in the frequency penalty, we are penalizing the token based on the frequency. Let me explain this through one example. So the rises had 0.42 probability. Now let's suppose we have set this frequency penalty as 0.1 and the previous occurrences of this rises token is 1. So the revised probability will become 0.42 minus 1 into 0.1. So this is the occurrence. Okay. And now the revised probability will be 0.32. Let's talk about the another use case where it occurred twice. The rises token has occurred twice in the text which we had generated so far. Then the revised probability will become this time 0.42 minus 2 into 0.1. So this 2 is the frequency of a token. So it will become now 0.22 and in the previous use case it was 0.32. So if a token would be more frequent, then we would be penalizing more. That is the essence of this frequency penalty. Now let me brief you the difference between the presence and the frequency penalty. So in presence penalty, we were reducing the probability at max once upon its occurrence. But in the frequency penalty, we reduce the probability for each of the occurrences. So that is the main difference between presence penalty and the frequency penalty. Now let's talk about the next parameter, which is temperature. So we should configure this parameter to control the randomness in the response. And the value of this parameter also varies from 0 to 2 like the other parameters. And if we choose the higher value, then there will be more randomness. So higher value means the more randomness and the more creativity. Or if we keep the lower value, then the randomness will be less. So the randomness or the creativity will be high in case of higher value, because in that case even the lower probability tokens will also be chosen. So that's why the randomness will be high. But if we want the randomness or creativity low in our response, then we should go with the lower temperature value. So if we set this particular parameter as 0, then the most probable token will always be chosen. Here I have observed one thing, that if we set this value to extreme high, for example if we set this to 2, then the response might become so random that the response will not make any sense at all. So let me give you the demo for that as well. So let's say we want to write an article. So let me clear this up first. So I will say write an article of 200 words on global warming. So first of all, let me increase this maximum length. Let's keep it 236 and let's increase this temperature to 2. So I have set this to the extreme high. Let's now submit this request. So if you see in the response now, it started good in the beginning. Global warming or the drastic increase in average temperature of the Earth's atmosphere and oceans is arguably one of the most critical environmental issues we face today. After that, it is just creating some random words here, because we have increased the temperature, so randomness is increased and it has increased so much that the response itself is not making any sense now. So that is the example of randomness. I hope you would have understood the concept of this temperature. Now let's talk about the last parameter, which is top P. So we can configure this parameter to set the cumulative probability limit. This is similar to temperature in the sense that if we keep the value of this top P parameter lower, then the less random responses we will get, and if we keep the value high, then similar to temperature we will get more random responses. Let's now understand the difference between temperature and top P. So let me give one example. So let's say this is the sentence, the sun, and these are the 4 probable tokens to become the next token for this sentence. So it has the probability of 0.5, it has 0.3, 0.1 and 0.05. Let's now see case 1 where we have configured this top P as 0.8. Okay. Now because we have set this value as 0.8, so if we see here, because it has the higher value, so it will accumulate the probability from here, and 0.8 will contain these two probabilities 0.5 and 0.3, which are corresponding to this rises word and this is. So the next token would be either rises or the is. This is the case when we have set this value as 0.8. Let's now see case 2. So if we have set this 0.7, then the next token will be rises, because it has the 0.5 probability and the is token has 0.3. So if we sum up these two probabilities, it will be 0.8, which will be more than 0.7. So it will just consider only this rises token and this will be the next token. So this is the case when we are setting this value as 0.7. Now let's consider the third case where we have set this value as 0.9. So now this time the next token will be either rises or is or was, because it has the 0.5 probability, it has 0.3 probability, the sum is 0.8, and if we consider this was, it has 0.1 probability. So if we sum up these three tokens, then it will be 0.9, which will be under this set value. So it will consider these three tokens and the next token will be decided among these three. So this is the impact of this top P parameter. So that is how we can control the randomness by configuring top P parameters. So I hope you would have understood clearly now about these parameters. What are these parameters and what is the impact of configuring these parameters on the generated response. And I hope you would have got the fair idea about the OpenAI playground now. If you want to learn more about such things, do hit the subscribe button and also like the video. I will meet you in some other video. Till then, keep learning, keep supporting.